Hey guys, I'm Nelly. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk about my experience going through a Groundlings audition. So for those of you that don't live in LA or have never heard of Groundlings before, Groundlings is a very popular improv theater here in Los Angeles. I don't exactly, I know it's off of Sunset, I think, but I don't know the exact location. I want to say it's in West Hollywood. They have a theater and then a new building across the street, and they're very well known for everyone that goes through there for improv training. They have a very popular and a very talented group of people in their Groundlings improv group. For beginners like me, it's really great because they also have beginner classes, and they start from very basic to basic 1, basic 2, and then you can jump and go forth from there. I think one of the basic training classes runs for about 12 weeks. The prices are pretty steep. I believe they're around $600 for a 12-week class. And I think those are for the classes after you pass the audition, so you can go into the next basic training. So you don't have to start from the very beginning if you pass their audition, which is what I'm going to talk about because that's what I did. You have the opportunity to be a part of a group that goes through the auditioning process. You audition with one of the troupe members or one of the teachers that's part of Groundlings, and then they'll see how you move, how you react in front of a big group, where they think you are in terms of improv, to see if you're ready to skip the very basic level and jump to the basic level. So these are all things that you guys can Google when you type in Groundlings Theater, but I just wanted to talk about my personal audition, going through that process, how early I got there, what to expect if you want to go through that, because everything else can be researched online, and those answers are concrete and you can find that. So the Groundlings audition, you sign up for it, it's totally free. It's about 2.5 hours long. They have a bunch of different times in the middle of the week. I want to say they have weekend options too. I'm not entirely sure, because if I remember correctly, they didn't have one available, and I work full-time during the week, so I had to pick a class that started at 5, and that's part of the story too, and then it goes until 7:30. So when I registered to take this class, I registered a week in advance, and they had slots available, and I think they have about 20 slots per audition. Crazy me, when the time came, I don't know why I didn't realize that my time was for 5 to 7:30, and for some reason in my head I thought it was 7:30, because I'm like, well, why would I register for a 5 o'clock class if I work until 5? There's no way I would make it there on time. It was 4:15 p.m. when I figured this out, and I was sitting at work. I literally had to rush to my boss, give her some lame excuse as to why I had to leave work 45 minutes early, get in the car, and rush off to the audition. I was terrified that I was going to be late, that they weren't going to let me do it, that I was going to be blacklisted. Thankfully, none of those things happened, and I did get stuck in a little bit of traffic, but I made it on time, and I found a parking spot right outside of the theater. It was a meter spot, and I think it was, I only had to pay for an hour before the meter shut off. So everything worked out great, and it sucks because when you're in a rush right before an audition, that's not what you want. You want to be prepared, you want to be calm, collected. So I was a little bit frazzled. I gathered all my stuff. I wasn't sure if I needed a headshot or anything else to take with me. You don't need anything, you just need yourself. As soon as I parked my car, I went straight into the theater, and because I was cutting it very close, most everybody else was there, and they were in the waiting room. They had us all kind of write our names on name tags, and we put them on our shirts, and there was tons of other people in the waiting room. So like I said, the class runs for about 20 people, and they were all kind of waiting in the waiting room, and some people had headshots, some people didn't. I was one of those that didn't, because again, I read the email directions over and over again to make sure I didn't miss anything, and we didn't need anything. And then the second it was 5 o'clock, someone came and said, introduced themselves, I'm your teacher. We're gonna go across the street into one of the rooms in our theater on the other side of the street, and we'll get started over there. So all 20 of us, like little ducks, crossed the street. We went into the next theater. We went into a room upstairs, and there were chairs that were kind of lined up classroom style towards one wall of the room. And then what the teacher said, she basically broke down how the class was gonna go. The class was set up where everybody was gonna get up and do a warm-up, and then after the warm-up, we were gonna do round robin style where 2 people go up to the class, do improv, like a routine at once together, and then one of the people in the group were gonna come sit down, somebody else was gonna go up, so that way each person would work with somebody new every time. So at that point, we all got up and we did an improv like warm-up game. Some of the games you might have heard of. One of them is Zip Zap Zop is one. One of the games, I think the game that we did is the teacher kind of had us all roaming around the front of the class, and then she would like spout out emotions at us, and then we all kind of had to just do that without talking to each other but making eye contact at each other. So she would say, your boyfriend or your girlfriend just broke up with you, and then we would have to react as if that had just happened to us, or you're so extraordinary, incredibly happy right now, and then we would have to kind of go up and down in those emotions, and she would kind of see, obviously make note of people that are comfortable doing those things or are not so comfortable doing those things. And then after we were warmed up, I think we did that for about 10 minutes. We all sat down and we started the round robin improv auditioning technique. How the round robin worked is 2 people went up in the room, and she did this alphabetically. She would give you like a scenario. She would say, for example, okay, you 2 are boyfriend and girlfriend and you're having a picnic in the park. They would do the scene, they would jump into it, and they would have 1 minute. After the minute was up, the teacher would give them critiques, and then one of the people up there would come sit down, and then a new partner would come up. The person that's still standing would take the notes from the first time they just performed, like the notes that the teacher gave them, and they would need to implement that into their new scene with their new partner. And then I think those are the things that the teacher would focus on to see how you take direction, how you do the second time around, and then once that minute is up, you go sit down and then a new person comes up. So that way every person gets to work twice and with the new partner. And then once that was done, that lasted maybe, I want to say like an hour and a half, because it went really quickly and there was only 20 of us. So I mean, without all the breaks, it should have been like 40-45 minutes. And then of course she would take about 30 to 45 seconds giving notes, and then having a new person come up and perform with the person that was already standing up there. After the audition was over, everybody went home, and they told you that you would hear back anywhere from like 3 days to a week. And then you would either get a yes or a no, and then if you passed your audition, you would have 1 year to decide if you wanted to skip the basic training that your audition allowed you to, if you passed, and start at basic 1 or basic 2 and jump straight into that 12-week course. You had a year to decide that. 2 days after my audition, I got the email that I passed the Groundlings audition, and that was about 2 months ago. So I still technically have like 10 months to decide if I want to take the course. I've heard great things about it. It's just a matter of finances and kind of deciding if I should maybe take improv classes at a different place before jumping into Groundlings. I hear UCB is a great place to go, so yeah, that's kind of how it works. If any of you are, deciding on going to the Groundlings audition, have any other questions, just email me, comment me, and then I'll help you out. Otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory, it's pretty straightforward. Just, Google a bunch of different improv games and what to expect. That's what I did. I Googled a couple of, improv warm-up games because I was very rusty. I took one improv class like years and years ago, and I haven't taken one since then. But I'm not someone that gets timid, so if it's an audition and if they tell me to do something, I do it. So as long as you're prepared to do that, then you should be fine. And then again, you have a year to decide. So if that's something that you're really looking into doing, then just jump in and go for it and see where it gets you.